Okay, welcome to this tutorial. So in this tutorial, we are going to uh, solve a few problems on CMOS circuit designs. Okay, static CMOS circuit designs to be exact. So in the first problem, we can see that we have to find out the conditions when the PMOS will be on and when the NMOS will be on. So there are two options which are provided over here for the PMOS, that source and drain. So let us take the first case. Okay, and in this case you will take the second one. Okay, meaning it will become easier for us to identify. That's it. I mean, it's just a matter of turning over the transistor. So if this is the drain, this is the source, so this is the direction of the arrow, and if this is the source, this is the drain, then this is the direction of the arrow for the PMOS. Okay, now the reason why I always prefer to put the arrows symbol, because that will essentially help us understand or identify the source specifically. Okay, now uh, for NMOS, which is the standard way by which we learn the MOSFETs, so this voltage we can write it as VGS, gate to source voltage, for the NMOS. So I'll put one N over here. And this voltage, since G is at the very beginning, so the gate is more positive with respect to the source. In your electronic devices course, you must have studied that in case of an NMOS, the source is at the lowest potential out of the three terminals, source, drain, and gate. Whereas in case of the PMOS, the source happens to be at the highest potential among the three terminals, right? So between the source and the gate over here, we will put VSGP. S stands for source, G for the gate, and P stands for the PMOS. Okay, so this is the arrow minus and plus because the source is at the highest potential. All right. So now, if we speak about the NMOS, so for NMOS devices, okay, VGSN has to be greater than VTN. Now, in case of an NMOSFET, VT is always positive, so we can use these mod symbols. Whereas for an PMOS, for PMOS devices, the positive one is VSGP. That has to be greater than VTP. But remember that the VTP is negative because VT is defined with respect to VGS. Okay, so if this is for the P MOSFET, since we are taking source with respect to the gate, so we'll have to always put it as a mod. That means this is always positive. Now, these are the two conditions for PMOS will be on. For PMOS, this is the condition for PMOS to be on, and this is the condition for NMOS to be on. Okay, so when will both the MOSFETs will be on? So if you want to combine this, we will simply put VGS, irrespective of N and P, should be greater than VT with a mod. We are always speaking about the positive values. Okay, so that's all for the first problem. Now we come to the second one. In the second problem, we are trying to implement a NAND gate using an NMOS, this one, and a resistor. So let's just put one R over here and the arrow indicating that this is a source. So essentially meaning that this is going to be A and the output will be Y equal to A bar. Okay, so this is an inverter based on the resistor and NMOS. Before we end this tutorial, we are also going to look into the fact that why this configuration, that means it is a resistive load configuration, is not used for digital logic. Okay, we will look into that as well. So if we want to implement a NAND gate, always remember that the function which we want to implement should always be in the N block. Okay, so for example, this is an inverter, so we need to have the functional element in the end block. So in this case, for the NAND gate, what we should do is this. Okay, we will put the arrows here. Okay, the two inputs are A and B. Okay, and then we will be having the resistor R, and this happens to be your VDD. Okay, this will be your, the function will be y is equal to A B with the bar. Remember that whenever we are trying to implement using the MOSFETs, NMOSFETs and all, we will always get that inverted output. Okay, as we have already discussed in our previous lecture, in previous tutorial. So that's solution number one. Okay. Now, if we want to implement a NOR gate, then A and B, the two inputs should be in the parallel. So first, let us understand why does that mean. I mean, what does it mean? Like, what is the physical interpretation? Why it should be in series? So clearly, if you notice that unless and until both of them are high. So let's just draw this 0 0 0 1 1 0 1 1. Okay. So if you will notice that unless and until when both A and B are 1, the output is not shorted to the ground. So that means the output will be 0 only when A and B are high. If any one of them is 0, that means this will be switched off. For example, if A is 0, irrespective of B, this is switched off. This transistor is switched off. So that means the output will always be high because the output node will be charged through the resistance R. So this is the output. Therefore, if you are putting it in series, it will always behave like a NAND gate. Okay. Now for the NOR, we need to put the inputs in parallel. Okay, in shunt. Let's do that. So this is Y is equal to A NOR B, and it is a resistive load. So in this case, this is for the NAND. For the NOR, A, B, Y. If you will notice, okay, let me just fill this up. You can clearly understand when any one of A and B, A or B, any one of A or B becomes high, it is always going to create one short circuit path from the output node to the ground. Okay, such that the output will always be 0 when any one of A or B is high. That means that particular transistor will be switched on and the output will sink to 0. Only when A and B are both zeros, then both the transistors are switched off, then the output node will be high due to the short to the VDD through the resistance R. Okay, so that will be high over there. So this is a NOR operation. Okay, this is a NAND. This is a NOR. Better still, let us put the number 2 indicating that 2 input NOR gate and 2 input NAND gate. Okay, so this is the answer to problem number 2. Okay, now for any arbitrary function like A plus B into C, we have already seen B into C can be implemented as a series network and A will be in parallel. Okay, so all I will do is like this. This is your A. And the series will be the product. Okay, again with the resistance, right? So I'll just put a resistance here. This is going to be your VDD, resistance R. This is going to be your Y is equal to A plus BC with the whole bar. Okay, Similarly, when we are, so this is the first one. The second one will be very similar. So let's not waste our time. It's basically the same. The only difference will be A into B, right? So I'll just put A into B and C into D. Okay, and this becomes fine. Excellent. Now we will come to the last problem for this tutorial. So whenever we are speaking about CMOS, always remember that we are specifically speaking about the static CMOS in these problems. Okay, so later on you will learn something about the dynamic CMOS circuits as well. Okay, dynamic CMOS logic. So these are all static CMOS, whatever you are doing right now. Okay, now if you want to implement an inverter using a static CMOS, then you just have to replace the resistance R with an active load, which is a PMOS load. Okay, so how will you do that? Very simple. So I'll just put the numbers here. This is 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, for problem number 1. So this is the solution for problem number 3, right? For this one. So problem number 3.1. First is the inverter. Very simple. VDD. So all I have done is I've replaced the resistive load with an active PMOS load. Okay, so this is an active PMOS load. Okay, and in this case it was a passive resistive load. All right, so this is the static CMOS inverter. This is number 1. Number 2, NAND and NOR gates using the static CMOS. All right. So as usual, as we have seen in the previous problem, we are going to create the NAND and NOR functions, Boolean expressions, using the NMOS first. So if it is NAND, the two inputs should be in series. So all we will do is A, B. So this is A, this is B, right? And then this is the N block. Okay. For the P block, we will just make the dual of this. So whatever is in series will become in parallel. All right. So this is in parallel. This is in parallel. Okay. This is your VDD. This is your P. This is your A. This is then AB whole bar. So this is a NAND gate. So this is number 2, static CMOS NAND. Okay. Now let me just write it for your future reference. So this is your N block, and this is your P block. This is just the dual of N block. Okay, Now we shall draw the same thing for the NOR gate. Okay, so for the NOR, as we have seen previously in the previous problem, for the NOR, we have to make them in shunt, right? Make them means make the N block in shunt. So similarly, this is your A, this is your B. And the dual of the shunt is a series. So you will connect that in series. A, B, this is your VDD. That's it. So this is your number 3. Sorry, number 2. This is static CMOS NOR. This is NAND 2. All right. So that finishes up with problem number 2. Then problem number 3, A plus BC whole bar using static CMOS. So again, it's the same thing. So let's do one. Let's just copy this part so that we don't repeat what we have already done. Control C, Control V. Okay. Now, unlike the previous case where we have done the resistive load, we will take the active PMOS load, active load. Okay. So in active PMOS, whatever is in series, here B and C is in series, they become in parallel, and whatever is in parallel becomes in series. So basically, we will first draw the A, let us say. A now has become in series, and B and C, which was in series, becomes in parallel. This is B. This is C. This is your VDD. All right. So that's problem number 3. Okay. Now the fourth problem is A plus B into C using static CMOS. One of the easiest ways of doing it is just add an inverter of this. So all we will do is we'll simply take one copy of the same, and then we shall just add one inverter. Okay, so in the second stage, we will add an inverter, and that essentially gives you the same Z is equal to A plus B into C. Okay, so that is one easy solution for this, but notice the number of transistors required here. Like this is a pretty well good answer, but in practice you should never do this implementation. I will explain why in a minute. So just note that the number of transistors needed in this design is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Okay, so an alternative smarter design. Remember, smarter design. Remember that in practice, in industry, you should always try to make smarter designs in which you will be requiring lesser number of transistors. So that way you are going to save space and power and many other advantages. Okay. So is there any easier, smarter design than this? Notice that you essentially you are looking for A plus BC. So if this is the function, the smarter design. Please note that this is also perfectly correct. The only thing is that I'm trying to find out if there is an easier way of implementing the same function, but with lower number of transistors. So a plus bc is the function that we require. So all we will do is a plus bc double bar. Okay, and then the inner one we will make De Morgan's theorem. Okay, so a bar into bc whole bar, a bar, b bar plus c bar, and whole bar. So this is basically Boolean algebra, which you have studied in your digital design itself. Now, in this case, what we are trying to do here is, if this is a bar into b bar plus c bar, so this is the logic which we are going to implement. Just keep in mind that since true, both true and inverted logic, logic values are available simultaneously. Okay, because how are you even obtaining this ABC, these logic values? That will be the output of some flip-flop, whether it is a register or it is a data latch or whatever. It will always be in the form of a Q and Q bar, okay, of a flip-flop. So the flip-flop can be SR, JK, toggle, whatever, but you will always be having both Q and Q bar. So if this is the latch for A, so Q will give you A, I mean Q bar will give you A bar. So similarly, you will always be having similar for the flops, which will essentially have like this. So it is kind of stupid to use A and B and then use an inverter. Instead, just use the inverted output from the previous stage. Okay, so here is Q, this is your Q bar. Okay, so all we will do is, instead of choosing the A, B, C for this circuit, we will choose the A bar, B bar, C bar, the inverted outputs from the previous stage. Okay, and then use this A bar, the inverted outputs for your circuit design. Okay, so in this case, notice that B and C are in parallel. So B bar and C bar are in parallel. So all you will do is very simple. First, this is B bar. Instead of B, I'll put B bar. And this will be C bar. Okay. Please understand, I'm not choosing B and C here. I'm choosing the B bar and C bar from the previous stage. Okay. So this is B bar and C bar, product of A bar. So if it is a product, that means it is in series. I'll take A bar over here. All right. Now we will then make a dual of this. So whatever is in series becomes parallel. So let's just put A bar in parallel, and whatever was parallel here, B and C was in parallel, right? B bar and C bar were in parallel, so I'll just put them in series. So this is your VDD. And this over here becomes your output. Z is equal to A plus BC. Notice I'm not going to put bar over here. Okay, so the output here is supposed to be like this. So let me just, this is going to be A bar into B bar plus C bar whole bar, right? So this is nothing but A plus BC. So now if you just try to find out the number of transistors required, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, So you are essentially saving this entire inverter block. Just being smart enough and utilizing the inverted outputs from the previous stage. Okay, so these are the contents. Fine. So that is again number 4. Now, as I discussed earlier, one question is, let me just write it. Interview question. Why is the resistive load never preferred for digital logic implementation? Okay. Now, let us understand this from the perspective of the two logic levels. Okay, logic topologies. So one is let's first speak about the CMOS. Okay, that way it will be easier for us to understand. Okay, this is the standard CMOS, static CMOS inverter. Okay, this is MP, this is MN. This is your V out, this is your VI. Okay, so now if I want to find out the transfer characteristics, okay, so this is your VO, this is your VI. Okay, this is your 0. Notice that as we have seen in the very first problem today, okay, when will this NMOS be switched on? Only when VGSN is greater than VTN. Okay, so that means before the VI reaches the VTN value, okay, what will happen? This is switched. This will remain switched off. Okay, so let's just draw this line here. Okay. So, all right. So this is your VDD. Okay, and so let us understand this. So when will this MN be on? MN is on when, so let me just write, for all values of VGSN greater than VTN, correct? So what is this VGSN? Gate to source voltage. Source is grounded, gate is VI. This implies VI greater than VTN. That means here between 0 to VTN, that means when VI is less than VTN, MN is off. Correct? As we said, MN is on for all VI greater than VTN. Okay? So here MN is off. So if MN remains off, the output voltage will be shorted to VDD because, okay, this is MN is off and this region MN is on. Okay, I'm not writing the on because it will become very much crowded over here. So if we write MP, when is MP is on? For all values of VSGP greater than VTP. Okay, I will write that here. Just copy it for all VSGP greater than V mod of VTP. Now, what is VSGP here? This implies VS for the MP, that the P MOSFET is VDD minus VG is VI is greater than mod VTP. Okay, so from here what do we get? VI has to be less than VDD minus VTP. Okay, so MP is off in this region. So if this is VDD minus mod VTP, so this is the part where MP is remaining off. Rest MP is on. So in this region between 0 to VTN, MN is off. This is cut off, whereas MP is on. So that means VO will basically remain at the voltage of VDD. So this is your VDD voltage. Okay. After that, what will happen? MN is switched on and as well as MP is switched on. So as the voltage goes on increasing beyond VTN, the voltage levels in the output will go on decreasing. Okay. So the moment it reaches VDD minus VTN, what will happen is that MP will be switched off, as we can see here. Okay. So let me just write here that MN and MP on in this region. Here MP is off. So if MP is off, what will happen? That this MP is cut off. So there is no supply from VDD. So the output node will simply get shorted to the MN, to the ground through MN, isn't it? So that means you are going to get pure zero voltage beyond VDD minus VTP. Okay. Now let us take the situation, consider the situation for a resistive load. So for a resistive load, this is VO, VI, this is VO, this is R, and this is VDD. Then what is the situation? Let me use green color here. What is the situation? Remember that this part until 0 to VTN remains the same, because between 0 to VTN, VI is switched off. I mean, this transistor in, let me just write here MN. MN is switched off. So the output node is shorted to VDD through the resistance R. So essentially, meaning that you are going to have the same voltage levels over here. Then the moment MN is switched on, since VI is now greater than VTN, what will happen? There will be a current flowing through this. However, this is going to follow a trajectory like this. Because this VDD minus this MP being switched off is never going to happen. The resistance is always a passive component, right? So this is always going to conduct current. As a consequence, you are never going to reach a zero value anymore. Okay, so no matter how low that output may be, it will never going to reach zero, because if it I mean, a minimum amount of VDSN is necessary to keep this transistor switched on. Okay, so this part is always so this is the case for resistive load. This red is the case for CMOS. So if you want to simply cut off the power supply, then CMOS is the only way. In case of a resistive load resistive load configuration, you can never cut off the power supply. Okay, so it will lead to more power consumption. At the same time, the delay will be higher because it will take much longer time to reach the zero logic. Okay, thank you. That's all for today. Let's stop the recording now.